There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if you want.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Hello and welcome to the Power Chord Hour podcast, episode 14. I'm your host, Anthony Merchant. As always, thanking you so much for checking out yet another episode of the podcast. And, we had two for you last week. If you've not checked them out yet, go check those out if you're just kind of stuck at home or whatever. We got top 5 Blink-182 songs with my buddies Zach Gorszewski and Kyle Steven, who we'll definitely both have on the show again, and also record another episode with Zach not too long ago, which will be coming out in the coming weeks. That's another nice long-form one for you, another top 5 as well. And I'll just kind of leave it at that, kind of tease it a little. And we also had March Rundown, which I talked about my favorite releases of March and some of the music news. So, I mean, if you have not checked those out yet, including the March Rundown, maybe go discover some new music while you're bored in the house. But if you did listen to that episode, you probably heard me say that, the Bomb Pop's new album, Death in Venice Beach, one of my favorite records to come out this year already. And I would say the other one, my top 2 albums to come out so far, Death in Venice Beach by the Bomb Pops and the Suicide Machines' Revolution Spring. I mean, this record, I love the Suicide Machines, and I mean, people put out new records and you start going like, oh yeah, it's best since this or that. So this is like one of their greatest records, and you don't even have to compare it to anything. I mean, it does have like a Destruction by Definition vibe to a sense, but I also don't want to use that because it almost sounds like I'm saying they went back and ripped themselves off, because they didn't. It's a great punk ska record. It sounds like Destruction by Definition in that sense, that both are just really, really good ska punk. And on this one, they just outdid themselves. I mean, this album's been out a few weeks now, and I'm already putting it in my top 3. I mean, I'm putting this up there with Destruction by Definition, Battle Hymns, and now Revolution Spring as my top 3 Suicide Machines records. So that lets you know how good it is. And, I bring this all up because I'm very stoked, because today our guest is Jason Navarro, frontman of the Suicide Machines, a band that I've loved now for quite a while. Not as long as they've been around, though. I mean, they've been a band, I think they started in 90 or 91, I want to say. So they started a year or two before I was even born. But I jumped on board, it was like 2013. And if you listen to this podcast, I feel like JT from Hawthorne Heights gets brought up a lot. The singer of Hawthorne Heights gets brought up on this show and the radio show a lot, like in the last 4 years, actually. And I got to have him on as a guest sometime. But anyways, he got me into the Suicide Machines. That's why he's always getting brought up, because JT Woodruff from Hawthorne Heights has gotten me into so many bands, and just really from everywhere. He got me into Bruce Springsteen and the Suicide Machines as well. And another Detroit band he got me into is Horse as well, which is Horse is a band you should go check out. I try to spread the good word of Horse to everyone I can, because that's a pretty obscure kind of unknown band from the 90s. They only had one record come out, but JT is really good at that. So anyways, 2013, JT told me to go check out Destruction by Definition and Battle Hymns, and I did. I checked out the first 2 Suicide Machines records. I was hooked from there. So I've been a fan now for, what would that be, 7 or 8 years now. And, this was just awesome to do. And I also mentioned it in the interview, but about 5 years ago now, I had probably the most punk Easter I've ever had, because I drove 5 hours from where I live to Syracuse to go see the Suicide Machines play Destruction by Definition with Derek Grant, who, was their original drummer. And if you don't know, is also the drummer of Alkaline Trio, and has been now for I believe he joined in Good Morning. So, I mean, he's been the drummer of Alkaline Trio now for damn near 20 years. But he was back with the band playing with them. So, I mean, I had to go see them play that record. So, yeah, drove 5 hours on Easter to go see them play that at a little dive bar called the Lost Horizon, I believe, in Syracuse. And it's right next door to this really shady strip club. And it was a very punk Easter. I also, I guess it's pretty regional, but I enjoyed Mighty Taco on the way there. That was my Easter meal. I stopped in Buffalo and got some Mighty Tacos. That was a pretty damn punk Easter, if I do say so myself. But a huge fan is what I'm getting at. Huge fan of Jason Navarro and the Suicide Machines, plus all his other bands. I mean, the man is in tons and tons of bands. He does tons and tons of stuff. I mean, even now, as you'll hear, he's working on new music, even though the Suicide Machines just put out a new record, just a few weeks ago. So this is pretty cool. And before we get into the interview, I do have a few sponsors to thank, and we'll start with Coronavirus Morning Report. You should definitely go check them out. Are you one of those people losing sleep, distracted from work because you're nervously refreshing coronavirus news all day long? I feel like a lot of people are doing that right now. Instead of doing that, go check this out. Subscribe to the Coronavirus Morning Report, and every morning in a short 15 to 20 minutes, nice, short, and sweet, it's all the latest news that you need to know in quick podcast form. Stay up to date. The New Yorker magazine called it one of the top coronavirus podcasts to listen to, saying it stays on the right side of informed, non-hysterical, and focused, which is important right now because you need to know what's going on, but you don't need to, do the overkill and go crazy about it. So I feel like this is a good way to kind of digest that information. So go search your podcast app right now and subscribe to the Coronavirus Morning Report. So I want you to go check out Fruit of the Bean Coffee, and right now their coffee stimulus package is here. It's here to help in this current financial environment, and Fruit of the Bean Coffee is marking their coffee down 20% for the next couple months to help out everyone who is feeling the pinch. That's one of those things you still need. There's still things you need right now, during all this. And I would say one is coffee. I definitely know I do. So this is kind of nice. You still go get coffee, but save a little money because obviously that's what everyone's trying to do right now. And this is good. This is really good fresh coffee. Your coffee is not roasted until after you order it. 10% of net profits are going to go to support orphans and those affected by human trafficking. So they're also helping out a very good cause there. And like I said, they're offering their coffee at 20% off until further notice while, we work through this health and financial turbulence. So go check that out. That is Fruit of the Bean Coffee. And yeah, I want to thank my two sponsors today. So right now, I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed doing it. Here's my interview with Jason Navarro of the Suicide Machines, Break Anchor, Hellmouth, Jay Navarro and the Traders, all that good stuff right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. Right now on the Power Chord Hour, we're talking to Jason Navarro, frontman of the Suicide Machines. And the band just released their 7th record and first in 15 years. It is Revolution Spring. So we're going to talk about that new record and a little bit more. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing good. Just caffeined out of my mind. Last day of work. There's no more work left in Detroit because of the virus. So I'm going to have a long vacation.
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't sound great. Kind of a unwanted vacation.
Unwanted, but you know what? Maybe needed.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's probably the best way. That's probably the best way to look at this shit going on right now is kind of in that way. That's probably a better kind of, way to look at it.
Definitely have to look at it in a different way. If you look at it in a negative way, you're just gonna fall into that hole. So,
yeah, understandable. So, I mean, let's talk about the new record. Like I mentioned, this is the first Suicide Machines album in 15 years. I loved it right away by the first listen. I mean, I thought it was absolutely great. You guys haven't missed a beat. But when did you start writing songs for the new album? Like, when were you finally like, all right, I'm going to write another Suicide Machines record? When did that all start?
Probably about 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago?
Yeah. At least I would say 3 years ago. We demoed like 4 songs and 3 of them are really good. And then, that was it. We didn't even do anything for at least a year. And then all of a sudden, like, I was like, hey, I got a song idea. And then they are like, oh, I've got some music. And then it just snowballed, man. Like, I think that's kind of how it happens with us. All of a sudden we have these little spurts where it goes and then we stop and then we wait a while. And then when the inspiration like hits again, it works. You know what I mean? Like we trashed a lot of songs, but it was like, once you get going, it just doesn't stop. And then it'll stop once it does stop, but like, you'll write a bunch and then you stop for a while. That's kind of how we work, So
you kind of do them then. So these were all kind of like bursts of songs and you'd kind of write like, I don't know, maybe a handful here, then a handful there. Because, I mean, there's a bunch it is a 16-song record, so there's quite a few songs on here.
Yeah, we wrote like 28 or 30, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we just kind of let, we picked the ones we liked, and then like Mark Klinger from The Code and then Roger Lima kind of all picked the ones they liked too, and then we said, all right, these are the 16 we picked out of it. So
And
yeah, there was a lot.
for you writing songs, I mean, because you're in the Suicide Machines, but you have, I mean, you got Break Anchor, you got Hellmouth, you got Jay Navarro and the Traders. When you're writing songs, like, I mean, how soon when you're writing them do you know what band it's for, or do you right away?
Well, I the toughest ones. I mean, obviously Hellmouth, it doesn't matter. I know what's gonna be Hellmouth, so that's not really in the mix. I have to be really careful about what is, especially for the Traders and the Suicide Machines, because one is more like a two-tone kind of the Clash meets two-tone ska and reggae. So it's like in the same world as, ska punk. So I have to kind of worry about that a little bit. I kind of, when I hear Break Anchor, like when I'm writing, I almost envision Kyle singing before I envision myself singing. So a lot of times like it comes to me right away. If I'm writing something and I hear it, I'll be like, oh yes, yeah, Kyle's gonna sing this great. Like I try to keep them separate that way. But the funny part is every single one of my bands, if you go through all of our records, there are references to each other.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah. You got to really pick through the lyrics to find them all. But I tie everything I've always done in together in some way or other. So the only band I ever did before that has never done that was I did a band called Roosevelt's Inaugural Parade. But all I ever did was play guitar in that band. So that's probably why I could never tie it in. But yeah, every band that I actually wrote in, there's always some small tie-in somehow.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I mean,
Yep.
like for songs for Break Anchor, then have you ever had anywhere like you said you kind of imagine Kyle singing them? Do you ever have it where you listen to it and you kind of realize you sound like it would work better in your voice, and then you kind of use that for like Suicide Machines? You ever done anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like there's like a weird singles collection for Break Anchor, and I wrote a song called Defiant Culture. And hold on, let me turn my radio off. I'm sorry about that. Long story short is a long time ago, an activist friend of mine, I don't like using that word, but like I guess that's what you would call him. And I did this thing called Defiant Culture where we did things like, well, we did like most recently we did like water drives for Flint and stuff like that. But like we would book shows, book artists or poets and stuff like in DIY spaces. And then Break Anchor became a thing. And I had this song written forever for the Suicide Machines, and it just like the machines weren't doing anything. So I took it and used it for Break Anchor, and then it just kind of didn't really go anywhere. And I should have maybe known better that it was like, you know what I mean? Like that was one of the instances of like, you know what, that
Would have been
was a
better suited there instead.
yeah. And especially like the idea and the love I have for this friend of mine and what we did together. And I kind of didn't want it to just go unheard or kind of like to the wayside,
Yeah.
because the collective we had and him were so important to me. Like the next time around with Revolution in Spring, we have Potter Song. That's Matt Potter. That's the activist I did stuff with, who I love, like, part of my own family. And I felt like the message is a little bit more important. So half those lyrics are like a Break Anchor song, which originally I felt like should have been a Machine song. So like if you go through Traders, there's references. Even Hellmouth has references to the Suicide Machines. Like it's all mixed in there. You just got to dig and find.
That's interesting. As a fan, I'm sure other people go check that out too. Now knowing that, I had no clue. Do you still do that with him at all? The side project, like for things like
Uh,
that.
I would, no, but we haven't done anything in a long time. He lives up in Flint, and I live down here in Detroit. And like, he's got like a family now, and he's still involved. I mean, he was very, very involved in things like, Occupy Wall Street in New York City and all kinds of stuff. Like he's a pretty hardcore activist, and in around the city of Flint. So he still does stuff up there, for sure. But down here, I do my own thing. I don't like using the word activist for either of us. We're just doing what just common sense and like the good thing to do.
Yeah, you're not doing it
I
for
think,
show. Basically, it sounds like.
right. Well, like, doing something like feeding the homeless with food, not class, like that's not a political statement to me, even though some of the people in the collective may view it as that. I don't. I just view it as common sense and trying to help people because I have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So him and I do our own things, and we're still like best friends to this day. It's just he does more up there, and I do more down here.
Oh, that's cool. That's neat. You do. I mean, it's very noble too. You do all that stuff. I think that's very it's very cool what you do. Talking about the new record, where did you guys record this? I know you recorded in Michigan, but where was it recorded at?
It was recorded out in the woods in Fenton, Michigan, at Mark Jacob Hudson's house. He is the bass player for Laura Jane Grace and the Devouring Mothers.
Oh,
He's
nice.
he's a dear old friend of mine, and he's originally from Flint. And I used to play at a DIY collective all the time down there. And above the DIY collective, he had a recording studio too. So I've known him kind of because he's been in bands and all of that over the years. And yeah, up at his place, up in the woods in Fenton, Michigan. Actually, I guess it would be Rose Township. I don't even think it's considered Fenton, actually. But yeah, out in the woods, man.
Nice. Do you like
Yeah, it was cool.
you like that, like not having the distractions, like being
Yep.
somewhere like that? Because I assume there's not much else to do. Basically, record a record, and that's about it out there.
Yep. No, you grab a bunch of liquor and weed and hallucinogens, and you lock yourself in there, and or whoever does what they want to do, and then you hang out and you let the collective juices flow and kind of influence each other. And that's where I did the last Break Anchor record and all the Hellmouth records, and I've done all my recording up, even the last Jason Navarro and the Traders EP. Like everything I've done is in the past, I don't even know how many years, has all been done up at Mark's place.
Oh wow, that's cool. It seems to work. I definitely like that stuff that you've recorded up there. That seems to work. The kind of isolation, if you will. I know, like you mentioned earlier, Roger from Less Than Jake produced this one. How'd you end up going with Roger?
You know what? Like I knew how I knew he's done some really good stuff as far as work with bands, and I felt like the weakest suit that I was going into, or the weakest, I'm not suit, the weakest link in the band I felt like for all these new songs was me. Like I wrote good lyrics and I wrote pretty good hooks, but I felt like I really wanted someone there to push me to make me sing better and me work on harmonies maybe I didn't hear, because it was pretty
Yeah,
melodic. I already knew it was very melodic because we had all the songs well written. He didn't have a huge part in writing and arranging, maybe a little bit, but not very much. But it was more like, I know he knows how to record a band and make it sound like the band.
yeah, which
And
is
I also knew,
important.
right. And I also knew that he could completely push me on vocals. And I 100% wanted him to produce it right off the bat. And I didn't know if he would. And I called him up and he was like, "You gotta be kidding me, dude. We've been friends for a billion freaking years. I'm way in, dude. Let's do it. And it was kind of like keeping it in the family too, because I mean, they started right around the same time we did. I mean, I remember meeting them, playing with them in Hamtramck, like I think on their very first tour, which
Nice.
I don't even know a year that could have been, what, 92,
That's when they started.
93,
Was 92.
92, 93, I think maybe it was when we met. And we've all been friends like ever since. So it was just like, if you think about, uh, we've tried to keep everything in the family, I guess, in the past, I don't know how many years. That's why there's weird lyrical references in all the bands. Like we're all really good friends. Every dude in Break Anchor has all hung out with the Machines guys or the Hellmouth guys. The Hellmouth guys have all hung out with the Machines guys. The Traders guys all know the Suicide Machines guys. Like it's kind of like a one big weird family. And Roger's kind of always been in that circle with the Machines. So definitely why we got him to come up here and do it.
And what's he like as a producer? I mean, is he pretty? He seems like he'd be pretty laid back, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. How is he?
Oh no, no, no,
No.
no. He will crack the whip and make you do it and do it right.
Oh
You know what I
shit.
mean? 100% make you do it right. And then he really was like, he was integral in making that album sound like big, I
I,
guess you could say.
he was successful, I'd say. I mean, it sounds great.
Yeah, he brought in like all of his own amplifiers and stuff down from Florida, and certain guitars and all kinds of crazy like stuff he wanted to use as far as like filling up the record to make it sound bigger. And he had a couple other extra like guitar parts written, like I said, with the harmonies, like kind of like teaching me, like, or not teaching me, but like showing me what the harmony should be and letting me hear it when I didn't hear it. Like, he was a big part of making that album sound like sonically the way it does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
Yeah.
there could have been any other person to have produced that album than him.
Oh, I think he did a great job on it. I mean, it sounds like too then having basically, I mean, say like a contemporary there kind of pushing you to do your, you know what I mean? Like it sounds like he kind of pushed you to do your best when you were
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and the thing was, is we all know him and love him and respect him. So it was like he could see our opinions and we could see his, you know what I mean? But most people would come in and we might be resistant to their opinions.
It was easier to hear it from him basically.
It was very easy to hear it from him. Like, yeah, I don't think so. This sucks. You know what I mean? Like, yep, okay, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like something that I don't think anyone else could have produced the record but him.
That's pretty cool. And how long did you say you guys recorded that for?
You know, I don't remember. I feel like it was 12 days maybe or something.
12 days?
Maybe. I don't know. We didn't kill ourselves. Like, it would be like 9 or 10 o'clock at night and everyone would be fried. We'd be like, yeah, let's call it night.
I know you mentioned like you guys probably wrote like 30 songs for the record. Were like of all those, did you record and demo all of those, or did you kind of cut some of those before it even got to like demoing?
We demoed everything, I think.
Oh, you did demo everything.
We demoed, I would say we must have demoed 28, 29 songs.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. We cut a lot of ideas that never really kind of get turned into songs. There might even be a few demos of those too, but like with lyrics, there was 28 with lyrics.
Oh, wow.
So, yep, there's demos.
And then, you know, this is the band's first release on Fat Records. But I was going to ask, I mean, has there ever been in the past, like, was there ever a time where you were at least almost going to sign with them? Like, I was thinking about it, I'm almost surprised it's been this long. Like, I feel like you always would have been a great fit on the label.
That's cool, man. You know, it was funny because we got like a rejection letter before from Lookout. That was pretty funny. Like, they rejected us, but nah, you know, I don't know, man. Like, I kind of like picked Mike's brain. I was like, hey, we got some songs. I think we're gonna do a record, you know. And that's kind of the thing about Mike too. You know, he's gonna be like, yeah, I don't think so. This shit sucks, you know.
He'll be honest.
Right, you know, and he's like, send me an air in the demos and I'll play it for everyone here, you know. And we had sent demos to Tim from Hellcat Records too, and I don't know, I think just like we know Mike a little better, and it was just like, it just felt more comfortable, I guess you could say. Like, man, I don't know, it just seemed like Fat was the right choice. That's all. It was funny because we had sent him the songs and he was like, God, can I pick? Like, can I pick some songs? There's too many good ones. Like, you guys, because we sent them all, like, we had to have sent them 27 songs or something, I think is what it was.
Oh, wow.
He was like, dude, these are all pretty good. Like, how are you going to narrow it down? And like, can I help pick? And we're just like, I think we got it, but you can throw in your, you know, opinion too if you want. Like, tell us what's good. And he pretty much picked all the same songs that got picked anyway. So
reassurance then. And you know they're at least good, you know.
Well, I mean, I remember him saying like, "Wow, I was really surprised you gave us something that didn't suck." So or something to that effect.
There's that honesty.
Like, yeah, like, wow, this is actually really good. Or, like, I'm surprised it's good. I can't remember what the heck he said. I don't know.
Something Fat Mike-ish.
Yeah, and you know, and Aaron really was like backing it too. So
nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it worked. I don't know why we never did anything with Fat. I think like right when we left Hollywood, we knew we had the opportunity to go with side one, and the Capitol Records had kind of thrown their hat in there too, and we'd had enough of being on a major.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, like, I guess I would assume then it wasn't all favorable, but I mean, what is your opinion then, like, your time on a major? I would kind of like, I would be interested in hearing that. Like, I mean, were there perks to it, or was it all fairly, like, you know, kind of shitty?
Dude, it was like an endless pot of money for us to take from that we never paid back, you know?
Oh, that rules.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We'd be in Europe touring squats for 7 weeks, getting $100 a night if we were lucky. We'd just be like, "Hey, you need to send us some money so we can survive." And they'd be like, "All right, cool. Here's $20,000." Like,
Oh
okay,
shit.
cool. There's our tour. You know what I mean? Like, we never paid, freaking penny back.
That's
I
pretty
mean,
nice.
I mean, obviously they've probably sold an insane amount of records. I think the last rumor was at 500,000 on that first record, but
Oh really? So that should be gold?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I think they don't. I think there's such chaos at that label. They don't know what's what anymore because they've had so many people. This is where the other side of that label thing you're asking me about comes in. Like, we suffered the same fate that you hear about in every band's like story that is on a major. Like, everyone got fired from the label. A whole new bunch of people came in and they didn't care about like whatever bands used to be on or were the first wave of bands on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the
Yeah.
next people to get hired all in were just like, oh, those are the old bands.
Yeah, like the guy who signs you's all of a sudden gone. So it's like everyone who was
Yep.
on your side is like, well, now we're just kind of left out here and no one really gives a shit anymore.
Right, exactly. And kind of like our producer wanted us to come to Capitol Records because he had left too. And, I don't know, we just kind of, and it has nothing to do with him. He was actually a really awesome guy. It just, such a shaky ride the last couple of records, being on Hollywood, that we were just like, it was nice because there's always money.
Yeah, that's definitely, including being in a band. Yeah, that's definitely nice to have, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There's always money, and it just, we decided that, our career was going down the tubes. Half of it had to do with the fact that, or I don't even know if you want to call it a career, whatever the hell you want to call it, but it was going, you just like, it was getting worse with every record. We weren't writing very good records either, to say the least. But uh, we had already started writing some songs for Imagine Some Gasoline, and Dan and I, we wrote that whole record. Him and I both actually really love that record that came out on Side One W's Imagine Some Gasoline. But we knew we had a good punk record, and we were just like, this record's too punk to be on Capitol anyways. It's like pretty punk, and
Yeah.
so my old friend Joe Sid, who I've been friends with for a gazillion years, um, was running Side One, and he hit us up and said, "Yeah, we got money for you to record," and we handed in a record, and everything went really well. The first record, you know,
Yeah.
went great, and then like the second record, the band was pretty much like falling apart anyways. So the record vibe wasn't there. We definitely were all disliking each other. I think everything was just too angry and bitter, and we broke up like basically right after we handed that record in. So it gave no chance for the label to even like, do anything with it. So it's not necessarily their fault, but it kind of like, it was dead in the water.
When you were recording it, I mean, were you all pretty aware, like, okay, once this is done, like we're over? I mean, did you know that while recording it?
No, I didn't know it, but I knew that I was starting to miss home. I was starting to miss my kids, and it just wasn't worth the fighting anymore, you know?
That makes
Like,
sense. Kind of got to move on.
yeah, and it was just getting worse and worse, and we kept losing members, all over again. Like, we lost the first couple of members, and then we got new members, Rich and Ryan, who stayed with us forever, and then we lost them again, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. I know I'm a difficult person, but everyone had a really hard time getting along with the old guitar player. Pretty much everybody who's left the band. I mean, I can't speak for those people, but unfortunately, I know the facts. Everybody who always left our band left because they could not get along with our guitar player.
Really?
So, yep. I
Shit.
mean, that could be another reason why this new record is so good. Everyone in the band is getting along so insanely well.
And
Which
and
has never really happened in this band.
well, and what is his name? Dan, right? Dan's the guitar
Yeah,
player. Yeah,
he
this is
was. Yeah,
this is his or no, I'm sorry, not I mean now currently you're
Justin.
Okay, Justin, yeah, this is his first. I know he's been in the band for quite a while, but this is his first studio recording with you guys, right?
Yeah, he's been playing with us for 12 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know he's not really like the new guy per se,
Mm,
but it's the first time, first album since he's been in the
Yeah,
band.
yeah. The only other thing we ever recorded with him is we did the Grinch theme song for like a punk Christmas album or
Oh,
something.
I
But
want to hear that. I've never heard that.
yeah, we did the Grinch theme or whatever it is.
Pretty much in like Suicide Machines fashion.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
100%. Yeah,
I will have to
yeah.
go listen to that.
Well, yeah, it's on YouTube. It was fun. Like I kind of sat there with an acoustic guitar one day because they'd asked us to do a Christmas song, and my kids love the Grinch, so I was playing it on my acoustic, and I was like, oh man, dude, this is easily a ska punk song. So I brought it up
Nice.
to those guys and kind of showed them my idea of how to arrange it, and then it just went crazy. So there's a nod to Black Flag in there actually.
Okay, I really have to listen to this after the interview's over. That'd be the first thing I do is go check this out.
Yeah, dude, I think that might have actually been the big spark, to be honest with you.
For like
I mean,
recording?
yeah, now that I think about it.
Oh shit. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it came out really cool, and it's actually the trombone player that's on it is uh the trombone player for the Traders,
Oh, nice.
and I think oh no, our friend Alex played keyboards on it. My bad, but yeah, it was like so. As usual, keep it in the family, you know.
Yeah, that is perfect. And I mean, we're kind of talking about it, so it's kind of a good transition into this. But releasing a Suicide Machines album in 2020 is compared to 15, 20 years ago. I mean, do you feel less stress and less pressure putting out new music? Is it kind of more fun now? I mean, by the sounds of it, I'm kind of getting that.
Well, you got to understand. I don't. None of us. We don't do this for a living, so I think that maybe that pressure is not there at all. So we really could kind of just do it however we wanted in no time frame, and uh yeah, there's just I don't know we like I said the non time frame, it just was like waiting for the songs to hit, like, oh yep, this is a good one, this one feels good, you know what I mean? We had that. I think a lot of bands don't get that luxury, that are the ones that have to do this for a living.
Like every 2 years, you got to put out a new record.
Yeah, like not having that in like attached to us at all. I think it could have been a huge part of it. I don't know. It sounds pretty natural to me or something. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but I don't feel like there was
No,
a huge
which that seems
pressure.
like a good thing. And also, I mean, as a fan perspective, I would rather it take however long it takes to like you said, get a bunch of batch of songs and get the best ones instead of going, all right, let's go shit out a record. It's like time to put out a reunion record. Doesn't matter. It's like we're just gonna record 12 songs and put out whatever it is. I much rather like that where, hey, we have a really good collection of songs. Time for a new record. When it's like appropriate.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone's like, "Oh my God, aren't you worried your album's not going to sell because this virus and this whole thing's going on and you guys can't play?" And I'm kind of like, "No, you know what? I think it came out at the perfect time." And everyone's like, "Well, what do a couple people are like, what do you mean by that?" I'm like, I think everyone needs a moment to escape from this for like 30 minutes,
Oh,
maybe put them in a little bit
absolutely.
better of a mood and get their mind off it or away from it. And it's will it hurt people buying it? Yeah, probably. But you know what? They can listen to it online somewhere. Maybe you can get them through a few minutes of the day right now in this situation, you know?
Yeah. And when you guys got back together in 2009, I mean, was it ever a plan to continue this, put out music and keep doing shows? Or I mean, was that all supposed to kind of be a one-off?
No, when we originally got back together, actually, I think the first time we got back together was 2006.
Oh,
An
even
active,
earlier.
yeah, an activist friend of mine had been caught. He was in an affinity group, which is like an anarchist group that keeps each other secret from everyone else, and they keep each other kind of secret from each other's lives a little bit. I can't explain. If you know what an affinity group is, you'd understand it. But they the feds planted another anarchist that once they looked him up, it looked like he was still wanted by the police, and he kind of infiltrated their affinity group and popped all my activist friends, and one of them being my old great friend and roadie, was a crazy activist, and he needed money. We had a really good pro bono lawyer, but that pro bono lawyer has to come all the way from Washington D.C., and you need a lot of money to make sure that happens. So we played shows in 2006 to help pay all of his the costs for him not to go to prison.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of like what we originally kind of got it back together to do.
So it really wasn't planned then, it sounds like. You were just kind of doing that, and then it was like, that was it, basically.
Yeah. That was it. I think maybe a couple months before that, we played our friend's engagement party, like in a little tiny bar with like 20 of our friends.
Oh, nice.
Maybe two. So like there's like weird moments like that where we're doing things like that a lot of people didn't know much about. That I don't think any of us expected to. I mean, we've done we did like one small tour since then, but a couple tours actually, but it's not something I don't know. We never plan anything, I guess.
Just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Just take what you get. No, that's cool.
Yeah, things come our way, and if we can, we can. And if we can't, we can't. I don't know. Maybe we'll try to plan a little bit of touring for this if this whole thing ever ends, just so we can get out there for a couple weeks or something. But I mean, at this point, I'm jobless, so yeah, maybe.
Time to tour. Yeah, time to fucking tour, I guess.
I know, ridiculous, right?
I did want to bring up too. It was the first time I saw you guys live back in 2015 when you were doing those Destruction by Definition shows. And actually, probably the greatest Easter I've ever had. I drove 5 hours, saw you guys play that in Syracuse on Easter. Was absolutely
that weird little the
Lost Horizon, the one by the strip club. It was like next door to a strip club.
Yeah, man, super old club, dude, for sure.
Yeah, that was a good show.
You know what? Enjoy it, because that was like the smallest show that we've played in like years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was such a tiny show comparatively to that whole tour and like any show we've played since, man.
Oh, really? Well, you are right, because after that, I did see you guys play the Fillmore with the Descendants a couple years ago in Detroit, and that was obviously like way bigger than the Lost Horizon, or not whatever the hell that venue's called.
Yeah, man. I think we actually played the Strip Bar years and years and years and years ago with the Descendants.
Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? I think I remember you bringing that up at the show.
Yeah. Years ago, dude. Years ago. Like 1996 maybe, or 7.
Oh, so that was like when they just got back, like once they...
Yeah, Everything Sucks tour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude. It was at that strip bar that was attached to it or next door or whatever, just right around the corner or whatever. Kind of had like stairs leading up to the little door to get in it, but yeah, totally remember playing there.
That's sick. But what I was gonna ask, I mean, that show, you guys played with Derek Grant. I thought you sounded really tight. I thought you all sounded really great. I mean, I was just wondering, like, did that all click right away, or did you have to rehearse a lot for that to happen? I mean, I know that was the first time he played with you guys in like well over 15 years. Like, did that all click right away, or did that take some time?
Well, that's the thing. Like, so, like, we're all friends with them. Like, even those guys. I think Malik didn't really know him yet, but like, Rich already knew him. Ryan already knew him. Ryan wouldn't want anyone to replace him in the band but Derek. Like, so, at the time, Ryan couldn't do the tour because he'd just gotten a new job. So I actually clicked really quickly. I think we practiced twice.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that did come pretty quick. That wasn't a
No, not at all. You gotta understand too, like, Derek is, I don't even know, man. I think he's one of the top 5 punk rock drummers of all time.
I would agree with that. It's seeing him do that shit, like when you guys are playing, it's like, oh my God. Like it's a way you don't realize just on the record. I think it's different when you're actually watching him do it. You go like, it's insane what he's doing.
Yeah, he's up there with, Josh Freese, Brooks Wackerman. I hold him up to that standard, So
I definitely put him up there. That's cool. That clicked right away. Then I mean, I guess, and you had those years of playing together too prior. I mean, he was in the band for a good
yep,
amount of time.
he left because of Dan. You know.
There we go again. Yeah, that
Yeah,
shit.
and it sucks because it was really hard for me to lose Derek at the time because I still love Derek to this day. You know, but I knew that he couldn't take it anymore and he wanted out.
Could you see yourselves at all, like I guess it would be next year, it'd be like the 25th anniversary. I mean, you ever see yourself doing those shows again or playing with Derek again?
I mean, you never know. Derek's played with us since. He played with us last summer.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did one show with us last summer. Our drummer uh, was down in Georgia riding a bike, and something happened where he flipped over the handlebars and bones popped out of his arm.
Oh my god. Oh shit. Okay, so he couldn't play drums apparently.
No, he had to get reconstructive surgery and stuff on his elbow and get his arms all put back together and stuff. And Derek came in and sat in for him. So
Oh, that's
just luckily he was free. Like I said, I don't know that we would ask anyone else to play it. We would have just canceled if Derek couldn't have done it.
oh wow. Well, I'm happy he could then, and I think it ended up working well. I mean, like I said, you guys sounded damn good. And then,
Yeah.
the band just released today the recording as we're recording this. I know you guys just premiered your video for to play Caesar, and I was watching it. Really, really good live footage in there. Where'd you guys shoot that at?
So like in Detroit, there's a place that I kind of grew up around. It's been around since I can even remember in Detroit, and it's called the Trumbull Plex. And it's an old pole barn built on the back of a 3-story old Detroit home, and it's beautiful. It's almost like I don't know. I guess you could say like the Gilman Street of Detroit, but we tried it. Like I'm a little bit bummed out. It was kind of on the tagline for the Instagram post. I don't know who made that, but we try to keep it kind of secret.
Oh, okay. You kind of not letting kind of be more in the know for it.
Yeah, we try to keep it. We try to keep that place to like I don't know. I'm not saying that people don't know what it is. It sounds silly to say that, but it's very much a Detroit place that we kind of keep off the radar, you know.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, old DIY collective anarchist spot. So
Oh, wow. And
yeah.
you said that's been there for a while, and kind of leads in the next thing I did want to ask. Going back in the beginning, like the early '90s, there, what was like the ska and punk scene in Detroit? I mean, was there one? Were there a lot of bands? Were there places to play? Like, what was that like when you guys started?
Well, when it first started, there were a couple like ska bands. There was Etch a Sketch from Ann Arbor, which is like a really good ska, maybe more reggae influenced band. So that would probably be about 88, 1988, 89. And of course Gangster Fun, which Gangster Fun is one of the greatest ska bands of all time.
Well, I'll have to go I'll have to go listen to them.
Yeah, man. Time flies when it's Gangster Fun, and Come See, Come Ska are like two of my favorite ska records of all time. Like, so there were people playing ska, and I was kind of in this weird, like Detroit. It was scary. Like when you hear all these weird old dudes in LA and New York talking about how scary LA and New York were at the time and how dangerous it was. That's legitimately kind of how it was here as well. And you didn't know if you were going to get your ass handed to you or killed or who knows what was going to happen when you'd go to a punk show here like 88, 89, and so I just thought that that's the way it was. And then I went and saw a Gangster Fun show, and I was like, oh my God, people have fun. This is a great time. This is like, I kind of just started listening to Operation Ivy and the Specials and Fishbone, but I didn't even understand what it was. And I didn't know that anyone in the city had even played that kind of music. And they kind of, opened that door for me. I was like, oh, this is fun, and I don't have to worry about getting killed. And other people are doing this kind of music that I don't understand what it is, but I like it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and the same with like Etch a Sketch too. And then there's another band from Detroit that kind of played more like the Boss Tones. They're called The Exceptions. From here, and they started right around the time that we started the Suicide Machines, so like 1991. I would say. And then right when 91 happened, Um, 92, 93 came, and then all of a sudden, a couple of years into the Machines playing, yeah, there's a lot of like punk ska
Nice.
for sure.
How about now? I mean, is there still much of a like punk scene there? There's still places to play and whatnot.
Oh yeah, there's a super gnarly underground punk scene here for sure. There's a lot of more traditional ska bands in Detroit
Is that
too.
is that like more recent? It seems like they're like more ska bands, which is great. Like I love it, but it seems like it's popping up more and more. I mean, are there more like kind of bands showing up the last couple of years?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot of really good like traditional ska is happening all over the country. I would say, with the exception of You Dirty Rat, which is like a ska punk band, everything else in Michigan is traditional.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So, as we're kind of closing things up here, obviously, the new record's out for the Suicide Machines. We talked about some of your other bands. I mean, anything planned for like Break Anchor, The Traders, or Hellmouth, anything like that?
I'm working on a Traders record. Um, Hellmouth, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever play again. Nothing
No.
negative. We all really get along. It's just kind of like, I don't know. A lot of people don't know, like Justin from the Suicide Machines is the drummer for Hellmouth. So I, I, I don't know. I kind of think like I can't. I do not know what the future is for Hellmouth. It's nothing negative. Like I said, we're all homies. I just don't know that we have any. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Maybe when the right stars align, we'll do it. You
Nice.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? And Break Anchor, I love those guys. But we've got some substance abuse issues in that band. So if some people can get it together, that things will change and we'll play again. Because I actually love all three of those dudes, but it's a little chaotic at the moment.
So it's on pause for now, basically. Kind of on pause
Yeah,
then.
right. It's nothing that we're gonna say the band is over by any means. You know what I mean? That's not the case at all for Break Anchor. It's just people need maybe a little bit of time to get their lives together a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Traders working on a new record. We just released a cover of the Specials Ghost Town. Actually, the video is just now up on YouTube. I think a couple days ago. But working on a new record with those guys, and then working on a split with Suicide Machines and a band from Japan that are really good friends of ours called Coquettish.
Oh, nice. You think
Yeah,
those are both probably going to go get recorded up there too at Mark's place again?
yeah, dude, we'll probably do it both, everything up there. I don't foresee. I hope, unless he shuts it down ever, I don't foresee recording anywhere else.
No, that's cool. I mean, it's probably not too far away from you then either. I mean, probably not a terrible drive.
No, if I gun it, takes me about 40 minutes. If I like do 80,
Oh, no.
80,
Nice.
85, I can get 80, 85. I can get there in like about 40 minutes. So it's almost to Flint, but it's just kind of off the beaten path before you get to Flint in the woods. So
Oh, nice. Nice.
yeah.
And then I know you do play guitar as well as sing in Break Anchor and the Traders as well. I was going to ask you, like, as far as live shows go, because you're a very energetic frontman. I mean, like in Suicide Machines, you're jumping around and all that. Do you have a preference? Like, I mean, do you feel restricted when you're singing and playing guitar? Because, like, I'm just
Oh
so
yeah.
I've seen you do both, and I'm so used to seeing you run around and jumping and stuff.
Yeah, I feel very restricted, more so with the Traders because I sing so much. And it's very precise playing ska and trying to sing it. Whereas I'm just banging out chords with Break Anchor. I can actually get loose and get crazy with Break Anchor, not very much dissimilar from the Machines. But the Traders, I'm definitely anchored a bit into place, trying to make sure it sounds good and right. For sure.
Nice. Yeah, I was just wondering that because yeah, it is. It's so different for someone like you. I mean, because you definitely utilize not being the front man of the Suicide Machines. Like you utilize that obviously. So yeah, I was just wondering that. But
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. You're a little bit anchored behind a guitar.
But so as we're closing up here, where can, if you want to like give people, I mean, you have so many different bands and whatnot. I mean, where can people find you guys like online, your Suicide Machine stuff, everything else you're doing? You want to kind of like just tell people all where they can go find all that stuff.
I don't know. No.
Just go Google it.
Yeah, whatever. Google
Google
it.
that
I'm sure
shit.
you find it. Yeah, whatever. I'm sure you'll find it somewhere. If you know the names of all my bands, then you'll be able to find it all somewhere. I don't know.
Nice. Well, and actually one more thing before I let you go too, I was going to ask you, you can't tour right now, obviously, but when you guys can start playing shows again, are there any songs off Revolution Spring that you've either already thought about playing live or that you'd like to play live?
God, I want to play all of them, kind of.
Hey, I want to be, you know what? Like, and I'm not just kissing your ass saying it, but like bands, they play new stuff off the album. Sometimes you're like, yeah. Whereas like this, I would honestly be stoked anything you guys played.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, man, I'm so content with it, and I think the other three guys are so content. I really feel like I don't want to bum anyone out, but I really feel like we will play a lot of this record, dude. I know people are going to be bummed.
Fuck 'em.
I get that. I get that, dude. But we're probably going to play a lot off the new record, and it's just because I don't know, we believe in it that much,
It's good music. And I mean, not to mention, it's also punk. So if they don't like it, it only lasts like 2 minutes. It's nice and fast,
That's true. Yeah, we might end up playing something you like next. Who knows?
Well, no, this has been a lot of fun, and talking a little bit about Revolution Spring here. So right now we're gonna play a few songs. We're gonna kick off. I think this is my favorite. First it was Bolian Blue, but today I was listening to this a few hours ago, and I think this one might be my favorite off the record. So right now we're going to play Trapped in a Bomb right here on the Power Chord Hour. Our podcast, that was the Suicide Machines with Awkward Always, and before that was my favorite song off their new record, Revolution Spring. That was Trapped in a Bomb. Both of those come off of Revolution Spring, out now on Fat Records. Go check it out. I mean, if those songs didn't sell it for you, go listen to the rest of the record. I mean, that thing, already one of my favorite releases of the year, and I bet it stays up there. I mean, I know it's early on in the year, but I don't see a whole lot touching that. Really, really good. And I mean, Roger from Less Than Jake, he can produce a record. I gotta say, one of my favorite bass players, and I love Less Than Jake, and he is really a damn good producer. I mean, I think that album is one of the best sounding records of theirs, and probably had probably even less than half of the budget that like some of those early records did. Like when you think of like major label budgets, and just not even, you can even take that aside, just what it costs to record a record back in the 90s compared to now. And it's like, it's crazy when you think of technology like that, because it's like, there's a beautiful sounding record, and probably not $1 million to produce, but still sounds great. So I mean, that also a great band, and like I said, Roger just really good, knows how to make bands sound good. So I want to thank Jason again for calling in, talking to us, and we got another interview next week. Make sure you tune in. I'll be talking to Greg Eklund, former drummer of Everclear. He was the drummer from 1994 to 2003. So he's in there for all the big years. I mean, he played drums on all those huge records, and we're going to talk about their sophomore record and his first album with the band Sparkle and Fade that turns 25 this year. And this is, when I say in depth, I mean in depth. This was a really fun interview. I mean, this one's like, off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact time, but it's like 2.5 hours, I want to say. So I mean, if you're a fan of that record, you're a fan of that band, you're a fan of what Greg does, I mean, we break down everything. We go into the writing, recording, like the history of the band, how he joined, what he's doing now, and just really get in depth. So I'm really excited for that next week. So tune back in for that and stay connected with the show. We're at Power Chord Hour on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, and go look us up on Spotify. I play a lot of music on our radio show, and I put up the playlist every week there, as well as some other ones. I did just put up a playlist the other day from, like I mentioned earlier on in the episode, last week I did one with my top 5 Blink-182 songs with me and my buddy Zach and Kyle, and I put all those songs that we picked in a playlist there, so you can go check them all out. But yeah, we're just Power Chord Hour on there as well, so go find Power Chord Hour basically all over online, and hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. You got song requests, you want to talk music, feedback, any of that good stuff, hit me up there. I have some Power Chord Hour pins too, would love to send you some for free, so you can just hit me up there for them. And that is going to be the episode for tonight, and or I guess day. I always say tonight because the radio show we do at 10 p.m. Eastern every Friday night. Shameless little plug is I can't stop plugging stuff. Go check out the radio show too. I know everyone is stuck inside bored, so go listen to it. Friday nights, 10 Eastern. It's different from this. I spin you a bunch of punk and alternative and talk a little bit, but it's a lot more music heavy. And that is on 107.9 WRFA in Jamestown, New York every week. But you can listen to that from anywhere at WRFALP.com and also on the WRFA mobile app. Just go search in the App Store. Just put in WRFA and you're going to find it, and you can listen on there. So check that out. And that is going to be it. But I shouldn't assume that you're listening to this at night. Maybe you're listening to this in the middle of the day. So whenever you're listening to this, thanks for listening to it. And until next week for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant, and thanks for listening.